Hey guys, Mr. T here for another episode of Mobile America. This is part of our little mini series about the 1800s. So if you're just tuning in, I asked a bunch of my students, hey, what do you want to see on these videos? Because they watch them and they're like, hey, do some videos on the 1800s. Because that's what time period we're in. They didn't actually say that. They showed me in their textbook where they were at. And I'm like, oh, I'll just do a series on the 1800s. So we already talked about Manifest Destiny, America Expanding West, and we already talked about Texas. If you haven't seen either of those videos, go watch them now because I'm going to reference them in this video. Ready, go. Perfect. Okay, now that you're back, let's talk about the Mexican-American War. So up until this time period, America's army, or our army, we really didn't have one. We rose it up to fight the War of 1812, our revolution, and then it went away. And that's going to continue up until World War II. It's not until World War II that we have a really good standing army. World War I, not so much. So the Mexican-American War, the quick little, the way it started was, we have this state called Texas. I guarantee you've all heard the name. If not, then you obviously have lived under a rock your whole life. So, sorry, getting really jittery there. So the state of Texas, they declared their independence from Mexico. Mexico was part of Spain, broke away from Spain, all this. You should have seen this in the other video. So when Texas gained their independence, about 10 years later, we took them over. Well, the thing is, Mexico and Texas never agreed on a border. When we took over Texas, America, and Mexico, we couldn't agree on that border either. So us and Mexico both put soldiers in the disputed area. Well, Mexico opened fire on that area, and next thing you know, our Congress, the United States Congress, has officially declared war on Mexico. Now, the thing about this war is, Mexico, a few years earlier, they just got out of two revolutions, one of their own and one against Texas. They've lost, Mexico has lost hundreds of thousands of soldiers. Their country is in shambles. There's very little patriotism. The government is taking all the power from the people. I mean, it's not a good situation in Mexico at this time. So when the American army shows up, we raise up an army. Our navy is arguably one of the strongest navies at the time, and we really had a good navy at the time. Not compared to like Britain or France, but our navy was strong. So we rush our navy in. We put our navy on their coastline. We rush our troops into Texas, use it as a staging point to attack the rest of Mexico, and before we know it, we're literally taking the capital of Mexico in like less than a year, okay? So by the end of this, or within 2 years, we've conquered the vast majority of Mexico, we've taken the Mexican capital, and we did the first amphibious landing, that means water landing, in American history, and we crushed the Mexican army like it was nothing. Well, the thing is, after we defeated them in this war, this is the third war in a row that Mexico has fought, and it has devastated them. Sure, they won their revolution, but it devastated them. They lost the revolution with Texas, and now they lost the war with us. They were forced to sell us the Southwest, California, Arizona, New Mexico, and then up. We paid $15 million for it, which was like nothing compared to the land that we got. I mean, the city of LA alone is worth 10 times that, not to mention all the other cities like Phoenix, and so on, okay? You know, Las Vegas and so on. And this war, it really brought a sense of pride to America, because the only powers we've ever fought at this point were Great Britain. We beat them in our revolution, then we beat them in the War of 1812, but that's it. So plus we had France helping us in our revolution, and France was even helping us a little in the War of 1812. So we really didn't do it on our own. The Mexican-American War, we did it on our own. So America finally showed we don't need help to win our wars. And more importantly, we proved we could protect our borders. So this is where America really starts to come into its own, where we're like, hey, we're America, we can do something. And this puts us on that path upward. Now the Civil War is going to come in and kind of add some shakiness to this, okay? Now the problem with the Mexican-American War is, we got all this new land. We got the entire Southwest. We got California, across to Texas, and so on. And for those of you who've seen other videos, slavery was a huge issue in America at this time. Well, we just added 1/3 of new land to America after beating Mexico. Are we going to allow slavery in these new areas? And that becomes a new issue, which will ultimately then lead to our Civil War in the 1860s. So as always, ladies and gentlemen, that is the Mexican-American War, brief little synopsis. If you like this video, I'll make a full-fledged video. And as always, stay tuned for more, and stay beautiful, Americans. Peace.